First of all, good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for joining today's webinar. Once again, my name is Akhil Koka, and I'm the CEO at Magure today. And joined with me is our CTO, who runs the entire engineering team, Pranav Agrawal, as well. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. I won't take more than 60 seconds explaining about our company because I'm sure you've done a little bit of your research before you came onto the webinar. But today, as Magure, we are a proudly UAE headquartered company, and we based out of the IFC with our delivery centers in India as well as offices in the US. Although everything around AI is brand spanking new, a couple of years old, as an organization, we've been around since 2017 with a very rich history of doing a lot of services, both AI and non-AI services. So over the years, we supported over 60 customers, and both from a services as well as our Mag1 AI platform, we have over 50 AI deployments as well. Today, we are very proud to have three ISO certifications. So we carry 42,001 for AI governance, 27,001 for information security, and 9,001 for quality as well. And about a month or so ago, we are now SOC 2 Type 2 audited and certified as well. And very recently, after a 4-month rigorous process, we also got the Dubai AI seal, which is provided to us by the Dubai Center for Artificial Intelligence, which basically says that we are a vetted AI company to provide services, AI services to the government of Dubai as well. And finally, of course, for some companies who actually have traversed data across multiple countries and different jurisdictions, you probably need GDPR compliance as well, which our platform is already compliant to. Last year, we launched our enterprise agentic AI platform called Mag1 AI. Today, we have customers across banking, such as Ruya Bank, where several of the use cases have gone live. Even DIFC is a customer of ours. We do agentic AI work for them. A few other family offices, such as Bukhatir Group, as well as Al Watfa National Insurance, and a growing list of customers across healthcare, education, as well as oil and gas. And today we support customers across the globe. We have a few customers spread across other countries as well. We've been doing a lot of great work with the agentic AI space. So why here, right? So the Gulf is not waiting today. And be it in the UAE, Saudi, or the rest of the GCC countries, the ambition around AI is very, very real. So be it the Falcon H1 Arabic UAE sovereign model, or even Humane that is making a lot of strides within the AI space. Stargate, the first version was officially went live as well. And of course, regulation. So UAE PDPL now has a lot of AI caveats surrounding that. Central Bank has UAE AI guidelines as well. Based on the DIFC has Regulation 10 that now governs autonomous and semi-autonomous systems. Anybody based out of Abu Dhabi, you also have ADGM having their own laws, regulations surrounding AI. DHA has come out with AI guidelines as well. So although it is very fragmented, hopefully very soon this all gets unified. And even in other countries such as Saudi Arabia as well, today it's a fragmented AI regulation, but soon we hope that it also gets aligned. And why this is very important, it's not just about implementing AI or productioning AI, but really how are you governing, policing, controlling, and managing your AI as well. So the UAE is really ready. So as per PwC, they believe that about 320 billion will be added to the countries by 2030. And this is just specifically around AI. But what's the uncomfortable number, right? So BCG did a survey across enterprise GCCs. About 39% of AI leaders are probably extracting real value using AI. And again, most of you who have joined the call today use some form of the AI, or all of you use some form of AI or the other, but more so for for productivity use, for personal use. But now when it comes to applying the same to enterprise AI, many organizations, not just in the GCC, but globally as well, about 67% remain as AI laggards because they are stuck in pilots. And it's only about 17% of this is being value is being extracted across the GCCs today. And this was as per BCG's reports. But very recently, I was in Indonesia as well. There was another report done by PwC as well as IBM there. And once again, there is still an uncomfortable truth in Southeast Asia as well. And the biggest challenge, right, where this gap exists when it comes to demo to production, or when it comes to using productivity suites such as ChatGPT or Claude, and then now transferring that into enterprise AI are two very, very separate things. What are your options today? One is you look at cloud platforms. So typically things such as Azure AI Foundry, Bedrock, Google Vertex, which are again fantastic platforms, right? But you need a lot of engineering time, effort to stitch everything together. Now, the second option is, of course, your open source frameworks such as LangGraph, LangChain, N8N, through AI. Again, fantastic platforms, open source platforms, but they have very limited governance. It takes months to harden, bring security, and many of these things before you're able to bring it to enterprise AI. And finally, build. So this is all around custom engineering. And this is what we used to do as Magure with a very rich services history. We used to use custom code such as Python or other tools in order to build agentic AI systems for customers. So this would take us a long time to build. And because you end up writing everything in code, every time you need to make LLM changes, prompt changes, it takes a very long time. And most importantly, to control this AI also becomes so much more harder. Once again, none of these options are wrong. Don't get me wrong, none of these options are wrong. They're just slower paths to the same destination. Now, with that said, we have Mag1 AI that we built around structured autonomy, governance and runtime, and where the pilot itself becomes production. Now, how we do this, I'm going to take a pause here and I'm going to hand it over to Pranav. So Pranav is going to talk you through what Mag1 AI is all about, show you a quick demonstration, and hand it back to me where I will talk to you more about use cases. So with that, I'll take a pause here and hand it to Pranav.
Hi everyone, I'm Pranav. I'm CTO of Magure, and I'm not going to show you any architecture diagram today. I'm going to tell you a story, which I think many of us can relate to it. So this is like a typical Monday morning, where you open your laptop and you basically see following things. One is you read some headline which says IKEA says saved 1 million using AI, which puts FOMO. Other headline that I read is that MIT is publishing saying that 95% of enterprise AI pilots are failing because they fail to deliver the ROI, and budget is bloating and pilots are stalling. And last thing is, I see there are a lot of demos my team has organized for me where they are demoing me point solutions, AI for HR, Copilot for Salesforce, or a lot of AI chatbots that I can actually get. So what would you do? So if you hold that question, the whole talk is to, it's basically what I would do first is I would actually think as my first instinct is getting a subscription. So I think this is what everyone did. And it's perfectly logical step one, where the leader says, okay, let's get everyone ChatGPT, Copilot, or Claude subscription. Be genuine. It's honestly, it's good thing. People love it. It will help you draft, rewrite the summary or email or do some research or brainstorming. It is a very good tool for individual productivity. So that's the real value, and I won't dismiss it because people are actually loving it and it is actually improving the individual productivity. But after 6 months, what we realized is a single chat window, it cannot run the whole process end to end. A human will drive it every time. It does not see the system or the data that you have. It does not know what ERP you're using, what is the data in that ERP, or who are your customers, what are your policies, and the data is spread across chat window of different heads of different departments. So it does not share the win because it is good for improving the productivity of a person, but not for transforming the whole enterprise to use AI. Also, something that keeps CISOs awake is what data are people putting in the chat window? Are they pasting some contracts, salaries, customer data into their personal account? Is some data leaving the building? There's no watch. There's nobody who's watching this. So personal productivity is not enterprise transformation. So the real question becomes, how do we automate the actual process? And on that question, people split into two camps. So I'm going to talk about two stories. First is about Jack, and second is about Dan. So Jack and Dan assume that they are in the same company type, with the same size, with the same pressure and the same budget. But Jack thinks that his logical bet is that I pay today, I get something working in day one. So basically, I buy point solutions. So there's no hiring, there's no building, there's nothing. I get the value in day one. Why wait? So, but if you notice, Jack has not considered something like adoption effort, integration cost, or per seat pricing, or vendor lock-in at the moment. Now, let's go to the other perspective, which is Dan. So Dan says that, okay, AI is a strategy, not an app. If agents will touch HR, sales, operation, they should live in one place we own. They should not be spread across multiple things, which is a fair point. He's accepting that day one will be slower, but as we go further and further, the foundation will be stronger and the things will work eventually. But neither of them are stupid. They are actually following their ideology, and which is fair point. And let's follow them in their 12-month journey, how it looks. So let's start with Jack first. So first month, what happens is Jack is basically buying 6-point solutions, HR, sales, document support, and everyone is very excited. So after some time, there's a pushback from the team that this is not our process. We need to change. We have to adopt to the new process. So it needs some time. So there's some adoption time that we would need, but this was not budgeted in the time or for the change management. In month 5, Jack also asks the vendor that, hey, we need a small feature. Can you add it? Vendor might say, okay, yeah, it is already there, or it might say that it is not in our roadmap. So Jack's process now waits on someone else's product priorities. So you are basically depending on the third party's vendor to kind of decide on what to do, what not to do. Month 7, the bill will balloon because subscriptions are per seat, per tool, per month, and cost might grow faster than the value. Okay, so let's say in month 9, one tool finally gets adopted. Jack says, great. Now let's integrate this with other processes. So Jack is now asking for APIs, but seems like vendor does not provide all the APIs. So that is again will not work because you are now logged in that vendor. So there might be a possibility that a vendor whose solution you're using is actually now shut down. So now you're again in the same place. And then AI sprawl will happen because you will have 6 tools, 6 logins, 6 silos, none of them talking to each other, nothing is compounding. So if you see the scorecard, there are a lot of values that Jack got, which are in pockets. The cost might outgrow the value. Nothing is compounding, so nothing is kind of adding to the ultimate aim. And obviously we are back to square one minus the budget that we had for the AI. Now let's look for the other story for the Dan. So initially we thought, okay, Dan is a smart one in the room, but his story is also different. So first, Dan is spending a lot of time in actually evaluating that which tool to use. Should I use N8N? Should I use Foundry, LangChain, Bedrock? So the whole whiteboard is filling up and nothing is shipping. Now let's say when they started building, they chose one of the platform. Now they started building, but then they realized that there's an iceberg. So the iceberg, if you see iceberg, the tip is small, but below the water level, there's a lot of things that you have to build. So they understood that there's a lot of plumbing that they have to build, like they have to do the orchestration, memory management, security audits, permissions, role-based access, integrations, monitoring. It is all invisible in every demo, but it is mandatory for production. Now in month 8, 6 to 8, basically he pays more and more for hiring people. And if you see, Dan did not pay for 1-point solution, but he paid for time, which is again a lot of time it took just to build the plumbing of AI workflow, and then you have to hire expensive ML resources. You have to spend in security reviews. You have to do compliance sign-offs, and let's say after 12 months you get one workflow, which is real ownership, real strategy, but it is still not enough because you in 12 months if you have spent so much money and you just got one workflow working. So if you see, I'm not saying that they are wrong. So buying generally works when it's one team, one problem, a standard stable process, and you need result in quarter 1. It is a great way of taking off the shelf products and use it, but only when you have like a one team, one problem, and you know exactly what needs to be solved. And there's no way to there's no AI strategy for becoming AI native and stuff. On the right panel, building generally works when you have a deep engineering bench and you just know 1 or 2 core use cases, like your whole company is based on those 2 core use cases. That's where you come kind of completely build it from scratch. But here's the situation most enterprise and governments are actually in. You're not solving one problem, you're solving 10 simultaneously, which can be HR, finance, procurement, legal, operations, audit, all of those different solutions that you have to build. So if you buy that 10 times over, you get Jack sprawl. But if you build all those 10, you get dance stall. So this was never about right versus wrong. It was about what survives the scale, and that changes the equation entirely. So now let's go to what is right, what needs to be done. So at scale, Jack got the outcome without the foundation, but Dan got the foundation without the outcome. So the question was never, it was never about buy or build. The real question is what you should buy and what you should build. So what we believe is you should buy the plumbing and build the workflow, because plumbing is something that is repetitive. So you need to have orchestration, you need to have security, governance, auditability for all your AI workflows. You don't need it only just for one. So you build that foundation, you buy that foundation first, and then you build your specific business workflows on top of it. And after taking almost more than 300 meetings, that is what I feel that this is why 95% of pilots are stalling, because they're building the plumbing. It is not because AI does not work or AI does not add value. It is because everybody's trying to build the 80% which is under the waterline, or pretend it is not there. So yeah, so I hope everybody got the problem and what you're trying to do. So this is why we actually build Magure AI. Everything under the water you buy, which is orchestration, agent memory, integrations, security, permissions, audit logs, governance, monitoring, guardrails, model routing, everything on day one, not on month 9. So that's the jack speed. So you buy the plumbing. Now, above the water line, you will basically see things that you build, which is only the 20% that make it yours, your workflow, your knowledge base, your agents, your rule. So that is the ownership of AI that you can have. So that is the dance ownership. So, and unlike Jack's vendor, it adapt to your process, not the other way around. The roadmap conversation is a partnership, and everything is API first by design. Nothing on this platform is logged island. And it also comes with compliance because we are already ISO certified 27001, 40001, SOC 2. We have done VAPT. We have done whatever is needed for any infosec clearance that you need in your company. So this can be deployed on your own cloud, fully air gapped. It is sovereign data. You can use your own models. Everything is kind of handled here. So because everything lives on one platform, it's faster to build the agent. And that's the difference between the sprawl and the compounding. So what do you get? What do you get in day one when you use Magone AI? You basically can use GPT, Claude, or your own private deployed model like Llama, Quen, Mistral. Or if tomorrow there's a better model, you can actually switch to that. You are never logged into your AI's, your vendor's AI model. You can deploy it in any cloud or your own server, because when we work with governments, we actually felt that this is not a feature. It is actually the entry ticket to go to enterprise and governments. Um, Agent memory you get out of the box because this is one of the hardest engineering piece that then spent a lot of time to build, but it is already coming out of the box. Auditability, where every action is logged. When the regulator or the board asks you who did what and why, you have the complete auditable report which can show what happened actually. Yeah, it is also actually future ready data. So every interaction becomes your training data, because Jack was using vendor. So vendor was actually getting the data, and it was the vendor was able to actually compound that input and output over the time and was able to deliver more and more value. But now that belongs to you, and you in the future, if you want to train your own model or you want to use this knowledge base again, you can do that very easily. And day one, you also get role-based access. So you exactly know the right people have the access to right data and they're performing the right action. HR agent cannot read finance data. So that's all I think we actually make sure that does not happen. And that's how the title webinar stops. Being marketing and more about being a project plan, where in week one, you pick one of the painful workflow. You narrow it down, you understand what are the integrations and stuff. Then you build the agents. It takes days to build the agent because you have to just understand what kind of workflows are there, what needs to be done, everything you actually plan for it. And in real time, you can change the prompts, you can change the workflow, and you are not building the plumbing. And then you also integrate with your system, apply guardrails, and in week 4, it is ready for production. The real user can get the real value out of it and all that. So before I jump to the next slide, I actually wanted to show you some demos. So when I talk about you get LLM agnostic platform, what I mean is, so I'll quickly open our Magone platform. So this is our Magone platform. I can actually go here and do select an LLM config, and I can select whatever model I want to select. It can be self-hosted, OpenAI, Anthropic, Gemini. All I need to do is I need to put the endpoint, put the API key, and select the model. Best part is if GPT is launching 5.7 in coming months or weeks, maybe, it can actually, you just say load a given model, it can pick that latest. You don't need to keep on changing the code and stuff. And the best part is you can actually add more and more parameters from here in the UI itself. So you can turn on reasoning thinking, turn off reasoning thinking, and all that from the platform itself. And now next was about cloud agnostic. So we actually have deployed an OCI, AWS, Azure. We are actually in marketplace for Azure and in progress for AWS and GCP. We are also working with Huawei and deploying our platform there as well. So any cloud, or if you have your own private service, we can deploy there as well. Okay, so now I actually wanted to show you some real demos. So, I was talking about in slide 1 that there's a shadow AI where somebody is actually trying to put something which is confidential in public clouds. So for that, we actually have something called MapGPT. It is actually similar to ChatGPT, but it is actually privately deployed. And we can actually see all the executions, all the logs. We can exactly know who's putting what kind of files, who is asking what kind of questions. Everything can be governed and audited. And it is actually helping us do faster and faster because it has. So if I ask, like, can you find AI uses for DIFC where Magman AI can be used and deliver high value, read online about the AI initiatives, what we do, and what is there in the AI roadmap. So if I take you through the use cases, so what I've done is I have different workflows. One is for handling our email, one is for handling files, one is for handling Outlook calendar, one is specifically for Magon AI and its context, another is for web search. So if I open web search, workflow looks like this, where you have a start node and an end node, and you basically add agents, you add tools, you can call APIs, you can write custom codes, you can run things in parallel, you can add conditions, you can add human in the loop task, you can point from a use case to a sub use case, you can run for each, and we have something called super agent, which I'll show you very shortly. So our agent will have its own configuration that what this agent is supposed to do. We can actually add system prompt and understand what this has to do. And the way that we have almost removed hallucination is by making sure that there is a proper data flow among different agents. So if you see closely here, we exactly know from node 1 to node 2, what is the data that is flowing. And from node 2 to node 3, what is the data flowing. And from here, what is the data flowing. So this way, what happens is every agent knows its input and output and the data flow. So it knows that I'll get a perplexity response, I get web response, I get web response 2, and then I'll kind of create a summary. And here I can actually select the data type also, like you want string, number, boolean. So that way it sticks to what needs to be done. I can also do one more thing where if I feel that one of my agent needs to use internal model, I can do that. Or if I think that, okay, it's fine to use GPT, I can do that too. So this way, we are able to actually create a complete workflow. Now I'll go to the auditing part. So here, if you see, we can see in a waterfall way what all was done, what all is called, what is my search term, which use case is called, and inside that use case, what exactly happened. So for this case, it actually called 3 parallel agents, web search 1 tool, with what is the input, what is the output, web search 2 with the input output, and web search 3, and then also what the synthesized agent got out of all of these things altogether. So, I mean, MaxGPT is one of the example. We have also deployed something similar for Ignite. Ignite is a platform which is under His Highness Sheikh Hamdan, and it is launched by him. So there's a chatbot that you see here. So this chatbot is actually talking to Magone AI platform. So by this, what I'm trying to say is Magone AI platform is flexible in terms of what UI you use. You integrate that with mobile app, web app, your own existing .NET applications as well. So the way you do it is basically you expose the API and everything is available to you as an API. Now, looking at the conversations and stuff, so we can actually completely audit uh, what people are asking, what people are, because people are actually trying to do SQL injection, prompt injection, everything on the platform. So these are all the filtered one, which we feel that is not correct. So that way, we are able to actually decrease the hallucination and everything using the platform. So with that, I'll get back to our last slide, which is how the value is basically compounding over the time. So if you see in first 30 days, you basically got Magon A platform, you started working, building on top of it, and you deployed the agent. That is done in 30 days. But in next week or next month, you can actually add more and more agents and workflows quickly and faster on the platform because you exactly know that my data is audited. There's proper governance in place. I have the flexibility of changing my models. I can do whatever I want to do in the platform. So you basically have the complete plumbing. Now you just need to focus on your business value that you want to bring in. And as you go further and further, over the time, your AI initiatives will be cheaper because you are able to actually reuse the models, the connections. So if let's say HR wants to talk to support, and support already has some workflow and some MCPs already. So HR can actually directly use the workflow of support or the MCP of support directly. So you are not reinventing the wheel again and again as you go further. So with that, I'll take pause and I'll let Akhil show you some of the practical AI use cases that we applied to customers' premise.
Right. Thank you very much, Pranav. That was quite exciting, taking us through Jack and Dan's approach. Once again, neither of the options are necessarily wrong, but again, could be potentially long to get to what you want. One thing Pranav alluded on a lot is building this plumbing, right? So for us, through the platform, we build the plumbing once. So for example, your role-based access control, your single sign-on, connections into your third-party applications, could be Salesforce, could be Oracle, could be SAP, could be your calling systems like Cisco, Avaya, or anything. These are all one-time integrations. And we already have about 60 to 80 connectors, what we call as MCP, that we connect into multiple applications. Again, if it requires any custom integration, we build it one time. Once it's built, you simply go straight to the canvas and you're continuously developing more and more workflows, more and more use cases. And how it compounds over time, I'll give you some great examples of what we're doing for a few customers today. Now, specifically talking about use cases, because the platform is very versatile, I'd like to call it the art of the possible. And really, it is limited by the imagination somebody has to what is potentially being, what you potentially could build on the platform. Today, I'm very proud to actually announce as well for our banking customer called Ruya Bank, which is UAE's first digital Islamic bank. We have gone live with KYB corporate onboarding. And if you go onto Ruya Bank's website and you follow their business banking onboarding, today all of that is done through Agentic AI. And the biggest problem or the challenge that we were actually solving for the customer is every time they wanted to open a business banking account, they had to create a new case. And this was done very manually for every single customer. Today, Agentic AI simply extracts information from trade licenses, articles of association, looking at UBO, signature verification, any bank reference letter. All of this, it pulls it out. And this is all done during the onboarding by the maker, which is the customer, before it's handed over to the checker, which is the internal business banking team. Where now AI extracts all the information from these various different docs, structures all of that, it validates it. In the event that the customer is missing any documents, the AI also prompts the customer to upload that information. So once they submit the button, when it arrives at the business banking team, all of this comes as a case file. We also have integrations to AML checks as well. So any information that comes in from there is also synthesized and summarized for the case. And we also do adverse news checks. So for any financial institutions, they always want to know about the UBOs, the founders, and so on. So once again, a web agent goes and searches all this information, brings it back, and creates that case summary. So we've estimated that it saves close to about $360,000 for them every year, with over 280 hours saved per month. Significant efficiency gains. So initially, it took them about 25, 30 days to business banking account. Now we brought it down to 12 days. And as time progresses, we look to keep improving this over and over again. And utopia is, of course, to get to 1 day of business banking closure. So we started on this one use case for the customer, and today we're working on many other use cases, including AML alert disposition. And again, financial entities, you have to do AML checks. A lot of false positives. Analysts are drowned in these alerts that come in all the time. So AML, PEP, sanctions, transaction monitoring, most of which are being false positives, while genuine risks wait behind the noise. So once again, AI smartly triages and understands if it's a false positive or not, closes most of these tickets, and gives an actual response as to why that action was performed. And the most judgment heavy ones that require more context, it stops. The workflow stops as a human in the loop as well that comes in. And the human then decides what needs to be done, whether it needs to be looked in further, whether it can be accepted and passed, and the alert would be closed, or it requires further investigation. Once again, over 70% efficiency gains delivered already, over 400 hours that have been saved, and they've estimated that close to about 500K is what they could save. We are also now going from banking transactions to agentic threat detection. So this is for any security people in the group in the webinar, but also a lot of enterprises today run various different systems, and there are always many sensitive organizations or even governments are under constant attacks. SOC analysts are endlessly triaging logs at 2 a.m. Breaches go undetected, and once again, several false positives. How can this be done very quickly through AI? It's very similar to AML alert disposition. It also does threat detection. So the most severe ones are flagged and informed very quickly. And it also looks at past history, understanding what happened in the past, if there's any correlation for any new alerts that have been received. And most importantly, you could also give recommendations as to how to fix the issue or how to stop the threat. But once that is all done, you're now doing a root cause analysis. And the root cause analysis to draft all of this takes an extremely long time. Now, AI also is able to draft these reports and hand it over to the CISO or any board members that require it in the event of a security breach. Private enterprise GPT, this is something that Pranav showed earlier, and this is something that we use as a business as well, and we call it MagGPT or MagAI. And the reason why we do that is today we have 90 employees within the business, and we do deal with a lot of sensitive customer information. Now, for us, it's not about just sending it to a GPT or a Claude, exposing customer information. We are an ISO certified company, so we have to follow a lot of policies and procedures. So this private enterprise GPT protects, number one, us as a business. Number two, prevents shadow AI. Number three, prevents anybody from sending sensitive information to public clouds. because we have all the necessary guardrails, policy enforcements that we have in our workflows. We still, don't get me wrong, we still use public LLMs. We still use a GPT on the back end. I believe Pranav is going to add Claude as well to that. Again, different workflows calling different models. But if in the event that any of our employees have shared some sensitive information, because of the policies and guardrails that we have enforced, it prevents it from sending it across to the public LLMs. Either gives a warning to the customer, or we also do PII anonymization on the fly. So for example, the information is Jack, it anonymizes the data and says Michael, sends it out to the public LLM, and then de-anonymizes it and sends it back. But everything is going through one gate, if I were to call it. And for me as the CEO of the business, it's very important for me to understand who is sharing what kind of data with public LLMs. So this is how we lock it down within our own organization. And we've done the exact same thing for one of the largest family offices in the UAE, the Qatar Group, about 1,200 employees. They have about 16 different business units. One of the biggest challenges that the CIO always saw was shadow AI. And how do you prevent this? Once again, we're not necessarily replacing any of the public models that you're using, but we're only, let's say, putting a gate in front of it so everything goes through that and you are protected as a business. And everything is auditable, governable, and policeable. Another one that this, in fact, is going live very soon, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And this is for a large healthcare organization in the UAE. Today, they receive about 10,000 calls a day for very simple tasks, for example, that patients would like to perform. Appointment booking, can I change my appointment? Is this doctor available? Does my insurance work in your healthcare facility? So what we realized, or what the customer realized when we did an analysis, about 60% of the calls that they receive today to the call center are very simple questions that could be easily answered by AI. Now, once again, a very, very extensive workflow, multiple workflows on Mag1 AI then is actually providing that. It connects into their voice telephony system, looks at emails, and how you're able to dispose many of these calls that are coming to the call center to an AI agent that is able to perform it. But also at the end, the AI agent is also able to escalate it to a live agent. Once again, because of the knowledge bases, because we hook into the customer's booking systems like SAP that they currently have, and several electronic health record systems, we're also able to do it at a very, very, very high level of governance compliance, especially with Dubai Health Authority as well as Abu Dhabi having very strict guidelines on the usage of AI and how it's being done and how it's being governed and policed and how the data is actually within the country. Through Mag1 AI, we're able to evidence everything to the client and as well as ensure at a very, very high degree are able to dispose many of these calls. So they believe that they will end up saving about 320 hours per month, giving well over 40% efficiency gains. And we're looking to at least move about 5,000 of these calls to be responded by the AI. So you can only imagine the cost savings and the efficiency gains that the customer is getting once this goes live. Now, that is just a few of the ones that I was talking about. Now, we have many, many more use cases that we've done this as well. That's 5 of many, and we've supported various different industries in order to do this. So for one of our government organizations today, we built an entire recruitment management system on the platform. So the AI does interview synthesis in one loop. It creates JDs. It does CV parsing. Today, I'm sure some of you will all agree with me that every time you post a job, your HR gets about 100 to 200, probably even more CVs. It's almost humanly impossible to go through all of these. So AI doing the parsing, shortlisting the top 20, 30 candidates that you want, AI scheduling interviews. So all of this done, as many of it is done by AI. And the most important thing for the government organization was that any final judgment call has to be made by a human. So our workflows stop at a certain point and hand it over to a human. Similar to KYB that we did for the bank, we realized that many organizations also have vendors, be it insurance companies having hundreds of vendors or oil and gas services company, healthcare, you all have vendors. You have to do vendor risk assessment. Once again, you collect things such as trade licenses, VAT, TRN numbers. You would also want to know who the UBOs are. So again, very similar requirement to a KYB for a bank to a know your vendor for your organizations. Again, it's a very, very manual process today. Even though you have procurement systems, once again, this is a very manual process for you to do an intake. We are able to completely transform that, so saving precious hours and increasing efficiency for your team. Similarly, RFP evaluation. Today, a lot of companies launch RFPs. You get 4 or 5 proposals, responses. You have a small team of one person looking at RFP responses, matching technical value evaluation, doing commercial evaluation. Oh, did this vendor actually give me the same price last time? There's no lookup, nothing of that sort is happening. So again, RFP evaluation is now completely automated through Mag1 AI. SMB credit co-pilots, once again, for the digital bank and for another bank that we are working on, takes you a long time to do SMB credit for small and medium enterprises. You're looking at bank statements, you're looking at Al Ittihad Credit Bureau reports. You're trying to understand the risk of this. How can AI do all of this work? So AI does all the extraction from many bank statements, APIs hooking to AECB. It does a risk assessment, but the credit decision or the final judgment is on the agent, or rather on the human who does that. Similarly, fraud detection for insurance is something that we've already built. It's currently in a pilot phase, looking at patterns and understanding rules. If there's any mismatch that is happening, this potentially could be applied to several other organizations as well. For an oil and gas services company, we've looked at a 3,000-page report. Now, probably some of you have tried it. If you put a very large document into GPT or Claude, it hallucinates. It hallucinates because it's just too much information for you to read. But for us, through the Mag1 AI platform, any large size document, images, tables, Excels or rows or sheets, whatever is in that document, we're able to pull it out because of two things. One, we're able to intelligently chunk the document. So a 3,000-page document is broken down into multiple small chunks through the platform, where every small chunk is viewed individually by the AI. And number two, we have a very tight coupling between the agents when it comes to the input and the output. So when we do these two things extremely well, we ensure that even large documents, hallucination is almost non-existent or extremely low. And even if it does hallucinate, we are able to catch it very quickly because, as Pranav showed you, we have an entire waterfall way of AI traceability. So that's how we're also able to fix prompts, agents very fast, and we are able to take things from pilot to production in about 30 odd days. Similarly, SOP assistant. So this is for technical field services where they do quoting of pipelines, welding, and so on. So any technical technicians need quick information in order to fix something. There's a chatbot that lays on top of standard operating procedure documents for this oil and gas services company. Then we're looking at order to cash. This is for a manufacturing company. Three-way matching of LPO, sales order, and delivery note, and then creating an invoice because they have a huge SKU list, a lot of SKUs that they actually produce, but they do partial delivery. So usually invoice creation is always done by human, and about 7 out of 10 invoices for them are wrong. SKU reconciliation, we've done this for a retail company, mainly around so once again, they deliver hundreds of different products to retailers, some of the largest retailers in the UAE. And when they receive the delivery note back, they need to match it against an LPO. But this is purely from an SKU reconciliation and ensuring what the customer has received and what they've supplied are all in order, because today it's all done manually. And finally, bank reconciliation. This is for a hospitality business. They have a POS system just from one hotel. They have about 1,400 to 1,500 transactions per day, and they need to reconcile against the bank every single day. Once again, if you have a credit card transaction on a POS today, probably appears in the bank statement a couple of days later. 2 days later, you're going back again, doing this entire reconciliation. Now, our entire workflow is based on rules as well as AI, and it's able to do bank reconciliation now in less than 5 minutes, which typically would take about an hour, hour and a half, depending on the number of transactions for these finance users at the bank. Now, my main aim with these use cases was just to show you all the versatility. We have demos for many of them that we are able to show as well. So if any of these catch your eye, please do reach out to us. Happy to show you more of these as well. And of course, very happy to do a demo as well, a deep dive demo of the platform alongside some of these use cases. But our use case catalog is quite rich, and everything that we've built for customers already. Something that Pranav has already spoken about, what weeks actually look like. Now, our speed comes from ensuring that many of the plumbing that he was talking about is already done. And typically for us to deploy the platform, do the first sets of integrations and connect into your applications or enterprise applications can take us anywhere between 7 to 10 days. That is typically our deployment of the platform. But once that is done, now you have what you need in order to go about building workflows use cases. So week 1 to 2, we work alongside you, understand and discover some problem statements that you have, looking at the data readiness. Many customers do ask me, hey, does my data have to be great for AI? It's like, garbage in, garbage out. Yes, you need to have good quality data in order to get the value out of AI. But having said that, there are also several use cases, like, for example, bank reconciliation or procurement or many other use cases that don't necessarily need a lot of rich data because you're doing potentially one-off or everyday activities for that. So it does not rely on your source of truth for some of these use cases. So you basically pick and choose which use cases are the lowest hanging fruit and how do you start building. Once again, from 2 to 4, we go to the canvas. Any connectors that are not there, we build it. We start putting in RAG applications or guardrails or enforcing your company policy. And then 4 to 6, you're testing. And typically what we've seen in our iterations and production deployments is by the 3rd to the 4th iteration, you're ready to go live. And not sure if you saw the button, but on the top right of what Pranav was showing, there is something called as save and publish. So for us, as we are doing our pilots, because our pilots are as good as production and you're actually testing them on live data, we are also once you're happy with the third or fourth iteration, you simply save and publish and you can push it into production. Or if you have separate environments, so you test UAT and production, that's perfectly fine as well. For us, it's all exports across. They're all JSON workflows. All the prompts and agents sit within that. We simply export the JSON into production and publish it. There is no rebuild. There is no retooling. There is no redoing anything. You're just moving things across from one environment to the other. And of course, lastly, you're only doing monitoring and production at scale. Once you've done the first use case, just to build second use case and third use case are so much more faster. Because sometimes what we realized is agents can be reused. So for example, you have an IDP agent, so intelligent document processing agent. You've done it for one use case. You save that agent and you simply reuse that agent for your next use case. So once again, you're not really building anything again. Your guardrails, your policies, and everything that you've enforced in one agent or one use case can be simply carried forward into the other one as well. The last thing I want to leave you with is what I'd love to challenge you all to do tomorrow. During the first poll, I saw that several of you have not productionized AI, but many of you are using AI. Once again, GPT or Claude, which are fantastic productivity tools. But again, we use these public models behind many of our Mag1 AI deployments as well. But what I would love for all of you to do, or as a challenge to take up, pick one workflow. Either it could be a judgment heavy or a volume heavy document. And go back to your IT, or if your own IT, you look at governance from day one. You look at having always human in the loop for judgments and agents on volume. And then look at what it's saving for you. The number of hours it could potentially save, even if it's half an hour every day, that compounds over time. Look at the efficiency gain that's going to give you. Something that takes you an hour can now be finished in 5 minutes. What's the percentage of efficiency gain that you've had? And then speak to your IT or look at your own internal teams and say, hey, can this be shipped in weeks? Now, if somebody comes to you and says, oh, it's going to take me 3-4 months to do it, then of course you can question the 12-month plans. So this is a challenge. And once again, I always request clients, potential clients, even you existing customers, look at those problem statements that are low-hanging fruit. Don't look at science projects trying to do something too fancy, because that will fail and that potentially could fail hard. But again, have these moonshot ideas. Moonshot ideas are something that come 4, 5, 6 months down the line. When you've actually started using AI within the business, AI is starting to deliver value. Your board sees the value for AI. And then, of course, there are fantastic moonshot ideas that you could go after. But today, well over 20, 30% of AI use cases that are live in production are typically surrounding some of your simplest or hardest challenges, but also at the same time, something that actually saves you money, something that gives you the efficiency that you need, and most importantly, something that you can govern from day one. With that, I have finished my part. Happy to take any questions that any of you might have. And I believe back to you, Hanisha.
Thank you, Akhil and Pranav. That was an interesting take from why pilot stall to an AI decision-making story. I'm sure a few of you recognize yourselves in, and to real use cases already running in production. A lot to take away today. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop in the Q&A box at the bottom. We're going to address the questions. Before that, just have a quick poll here. Can we have the poll up, please? And that will help us all evaluate you and connect with you basis your requirements. Yeah. What would help you move forward on your AI production roadmap? You have 3 options on your screen. Please feel free to select. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A box at the bottom. We have few here. We'll answer them. Awesome. What would help you move forward on your AI production roadmap? A live platform demo, or just here to learn now? One-on-one AI consultation with our team. Okay, great. All right. So based on we have got good responses here. Whatever stage you are in, our team will reach out to help you move forward in your AI journey as much as we can. We'll connect with you after the session. And now let's take some questions here. We have few questions here that came during the session. Akhil and Pranav, I'd love you to answer them for the audience. One question is, how does Mag1 AI work with existing enterprise systems and infrastructure?
So the best part about Mag1 AI is it will not replace any of your existing applications. It actually sits with your existing applications. So if you're using something for your HR system, for your procurement system, you can actually add automations using Mag1 AI. So we connect to those existing systems using MCPs, and that's how you are actually making it work along with the existing system.
I hope that answers the question. There's one more question by another attendee. What does deployment look like for hybrid or on-prem environments?
Right. So for deployment on on-prem, what we do is we basically tell you the infrastructure that is needed, and we have something called Terraform, which will automatically create all the clusters, VMs, and do the connections between everything. And we use Kubernetes for the deployment and orchestration of the deployment. So it's pretty simple, like a week's job, not much. And if you want to do something like hybrid, where you want to use our own SaaS provided platform, where some of your use cases are working on SaaS versus some are working on on-prem, we actually are hosted in OCI and in UAE, so you can use that too.
Awesome. I hope that answered the question for Ahmed. There's one more last question about governance and compliance. How do we handle that from day one without slowing delivery?
In fact, in AI, so when it comes to regulation and governance, today, although few are regulation, more and more are coming. And there are some sections or categories that you could consider this. One is responsible AI. The other one is security for AI, as well as looking at human in the loop and AI traceability, AI registry. So what these all mean is that as organizations, you have to evidence either to a regulator or to any government body as to how the AI is making certain decisions. And is the AI being responsible? Is the AI hallucinating? So these things are some of the areas that you need to keep into consideration. And through the Mag1 AI platform, we evidence everything that is happening with your AI in the business. We are not GRC or governance, risk and compliance platform. Of course, as an AI provider or AI solution provider, we can't do governance, risk and compliance because it's a conflict of interest. But we evidence everything that is happening in the platform for your own GRC tool or your third-party auditor or for a government regulator who is coming and asking questions. So you always have to keep in mind how are you doing responsible AI by having human in the loop. How are you doing cybersecurity? So how are you preventing things such as prompt injections, SQL injections into your AI bots? And also ensuring that there is no bias, how it's being fair, how are you maintaining your AI models or your AI model registry. And finally, the most important is how the AI traceability is happening. All of that is provided from the platform rather than stitching many of the tools together in order to get what you need.
Awesome.
Back to you, Manisha.
Yeah, I think we've answered all those questions out here. And with that, I think we're running out on time. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Whether you're trying to get your first use case into production or scaling what you've already built, if today's session resonated, our team is happy to continue the discussion. You could reach out to us info@magureinc.com or book a direct one-to-one meeting with us from our website itself. Thank you, everyone, for joining again. Have a great rest of your day. And thank you, Akhil and Pranav, again.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. It was an absolute pleasure presenting to you today, and wish you a great rest of the day and the week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone, for joining again. Have a great rest of